reads, a cabinet secretary shall provide a physical and electronic copy of a response to a question at least 24 hours before appearing before the Senate. If you go to 51D, this is also very clear, Honorable Speaker. The Senate may, where a cabinet secretary fails without reasonable cause to appear and respond to questions under this part, move a motion to censure the cabinet secretary. Honorable Speaker, I don't know if the letter has got these standing orders written on them. Honorable Speaker, I was to travel to Marsabit yesterday. Because of the question that I posed to the minister in regards to public interest, in regards to the electricity issues some months back, that this country was in darkness for almost 20 hours. And this question was very simple, Honorable Speaker. We have a problem. Is this problem going to repeat? What caused this problem? Who is going to pay that cost? Today, the Cabinet Secretary is not here to answer those questions, unfortunately. Honorable Speaker, I would also want to support what Senator Katuri has said. A widow from Marsabit asked me, she lost her husband about 3 years ago, Jinia Guyo from Marsabit. And she asked me to go to NHIF to see if she can get the dues that's supposed to be payable to her. When I went to NHIF, I was referred back to Ministry of the Treasury. I was told the money is going to be paid from the Treasury. And today, the letter we received today is the Treasury CS is saying this is not his responsibility. It is the responsibility of the Ministry of Health. Honorable Speaker, I know very well, even Senator Kaduri knows very well, that he was also referred back to the Treasury. And he should come here and tell us what part he can be responsible of. And then the other part he can leave the Ministry of Health to deal with. Honorable Speaker, finally, I want to say, Honorable Speaker, please take some action. You remember when I brought the vegetable oil issue to this House, the CS Courier didn't want to come here. And yesterday you've seen in the papers, even today's paper, the lady in charge of KNTC was arrested because of the same issue, vegetable oil. This country have lost over 15 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. When you see the CSS refusing to come here, there must be definitely something they are hiding. Please, Mr. Speaker, please, you are the father of this House. You are in charge of this House. You are in charge of this Senate. We look at you and see if you are going to take some action. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Kindly take some action. Sansan.
Senator Richard Onyok.
Mr. Speaker, I want to say thank you for allowing me to also talk about this issue. Mr. Speaker, it's very clear that the responsibilities of a senator, other than all the other issues we handle, is a matter of legislation. Mr. Speaker, the other issue that the Senate deals with is a matter of oversight. I've just come in this morning expecting the CS to be here. And I've just found he has not appeared. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I'm quite disappointed because Dr. Ndungu was my lecturer in the University of Nairobi in the class of economics. And he always used to say that you must be responsible and you always must be on time because those are the qualities of good leadership. I'm quite surprised that he hasn't come. The question I was actually going to ask, or which I had asked on the order paper, Mr. Speaker, is about him telling me whether the government has a G2G agreement which was signed when the negotiations for the purchase of the oil was taking place. The cabinet secretaries must understand that the responsibility they hold And their job primarily, Mr. Speaker, is to serve this country. Even when they have been selected and nominated by the president to actually work on behalf of the president, they are actually answerable to Kenyans. And those questions that Kenyans are asking us are the ones we want the cabinet secretaries to come and give us answers. And that is how democracy that's how democracy is designed. Our democracy is designed, and again, I've just listened to one of my colleagues say that actually this is the issue of cabinet secretaries coming to this house to answer questions was something that President William Ruto personally engaged himself in. And particularly after the ruling, Mr. Speaker, it means that this is something that is now going to take place in this house, and this is a responsibility of the cabinet secretaries. I would really want, Mr. Speaker, for you to put your foot down. I would want our colleagues to realize that we are here not by accident, we are here by design, and let them know that we are going to hold them to account. The responsibility of this house is oversighting the national government and the county governments, and we take that responsibility very, very seriously. Mr. Speaker, I hope your ruling will be drastic, effective, and will achieve results as fast as we deserve them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise to make comments on this. Honorable Speaker, the President basically is the one who requested this House and even National Assembly to amend the standing order so that the CSS may come to this House and answer questions instead of the chairman of the committees or chairs of committees getting responses and coming to reply on the floor of the House. Honorable Speaker, it is deploring that this is not the first time. Even in the past, they have not been coming. And today we expected 3 CSs in this House to come and answer questions. I know most of them, when they are invited by National Assembly, they run there. But when they're invited by Senate, it's like they look for opportunities, they look for excuses so that they don't come to this House. Honorable Speaker, they cannot use COP28 as an excuse, because if the president himself is going to Dubai and the CS in charge of environment, I don't see the reason why the others are going there, and we are trying to have austerity measures to save money. Honorable Speaker, some of us were also invited. The climate change caucus of this House nominated some of us, but we could not go because there are no resources. How come most of all the CSs, more than 50%, want to go to Dubai for COP28 to waste resources? Honorable Speaker, you need to crack the whip, because these CSs will not take us serious if we just let it go the way they think that will excuse them. We need to find them. We need to censor them, Honorable Speaker. And we should not also allow the so-called CSs, Honorable Speaker, to come to the House, because the standing orders are very clear. The cabinet secretaries, on the standing order, there is nothing like a CS. It is the cabinet secretaries who are supposed to come and answer in the House. Yes. So, Honorable Speaker, be firm and crack the whip, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as my colleague Chair Transport had said earlier, about some governors who were senators in this House, the governor for Nakuru, the governor for Nairobi, the governor for Kiambu, they're also very notorious. When they're invited to committees, they don't come. So we need also to ask the chairs, crack the whip, find them, and censor them. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Eddy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today in the morning, I resumed my session, football session, in preparation for, Yala games that are coming in just about a week. And Mr. Speaker, as you know, we don't have any field to be able to train. So we keep on moving from one place to another. And today in the morning, I was training around Magadi Road. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I had to really rush to get here. Through your honor, may you just give me an opportunity to actually welcome the team from Migori. I'm very proud of these members of the delegated duties in the county assembly and I hope that I'll get time to talk with them in our own tradition in Parliament here. But Mr. Speaker, in the spirit of rushing to get to this House, I also noticed that we actually are having a second week since the court did pronounce itself on the tussle that was between the minority side and the majority side on the issue of whether it was right constitutionally for the cabinet secretaries to be able to appear in this House. And indeed, the court did rule that it is actually okay, to the extent that now you can see the members of the minority side coming. But I do notice that since the ruling, this is the second Wednesday that the members of minority have been coming. And those two consecutive sessions, the members of the cabinet have been behaving in a very funny way. They don't appear. Mr. Speaker, if you go unanswered, you realize that even while the matter was in court, I was always able to come to the House and just listen to what is going on. And I used to notice that the members of the cabinet secretaries used to come religiously and attend their meetings here. I'm beginning to think that perhaps it used to be a tete-a-tete between colleagues from the Kenya Kwanza side. It was just a dialogue, that there was no interrogation, there was no nuance perhaps in terms of engaging the cabinet secretaries. But now that the opposition is here to interrogate, to scrutinize, to be able to actually ask the right questions, they are running from the House, Mr. Speaker. And this is the problem that we had seen. And actually, this also indicts the so-called prime cabinet secretary. Because, Mr. Speaker, the work of the prime cabinet secretary is actually to be able, I'm saying so-called because it's not in the Constitution, but it was created anyway. We disputed it as members of the minority side. But now that it's there, Article 153 of the Constitution on decisions, responsibilities, and accountability of the cabinet lies squarely with the prime cabinet secretary, because his duty is to be able to supervise and ensure that the members of the cabinet can actually come to this House and answer questions and be held to account. So it is an indictment and a big failure on Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. And before we deal with these individual cabinet secretaries, Mr. Speaker, there has to be a letter from your desk, perhaps directly to the prime cabinet secretary, that is doing very poorly and is embarrassing the entire cabinet because his members are not showing to this House. But more specifically, Mr. Speaker, as I finish, I think that I have seen in other committees that I've been in, whereby if we invite different officials in government and they don't show up, we actually very religious also in terms of actually punishing. We punish by summon because we are mandated to do so. We punish by fines because we are mandated to do so. Mr. Speaker, the censorship that I'm expecting under Standing Order number 51D is a censorship that goes with punishing these cabinet secretaries with fines. And Mr. Speaker, I hope that these fines can not only be for the House, but also somebody like Senator Kinyua and Senator Chute. On that fine, Mr. Speaker, if you can be, courteous enough, you can be able to make sure that Senator Kinyua gets his 500,000, Senator Chute gets his 500,000, Senator Gloria gets his 500,000, Majority Leader gets his 1 million, so that they know that this house is a very serious house, that people must learn to respect our time, because that time is extremely valuable. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I support I support the censorship from your desk to these cabinet secretaries. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, I have taken time to allow a number of us to ventilate on this particular matter. Indeed, it is very serious. Now, if you look at the 3 letters that are referred to this morning, none of them contained a reason that is an emergency. Meaning, all the 3 CSs, they knew that they were not going to appear before the Senate many days ago. Courtesy demands that they ought to have communicated to the Senate so that when we were sitting in SBC, we could have then dropped their questions because under their request and picked other CSs for purposes of responding to their questions today. Now, honorable senators, we have over 60 questions in the queue. We could not pick other questions because we were convinced yesterday when we sat in SBC, in fact, not yesterday, last week, we were convinced because there was no communication to the contrary that the CSS will appear before this House for purposes of responding to these questions. Indeed, receiving this communication this morning is the epitome of discourteous. Now, honorable senators, this House is not a house of lamentations. It is a house of actions. But our action must rest either on the Constitution, statutory law, or our standing orders. Many of you standing to contribute to this particular point of order invited me to be firm on the CSs. I have come through the Constitution, statutory law, and a standing order to see where the Speaker can be able to punish these CSs. If I had any powers to punish these CSs, honorable senators, that day would be now, not tomorrow, as you had invited me. Now, honorable senators, I will invite you to our standing orders, more particularly Standing Order 51D. 51D. Now, the punishment that our CS invites for non-attendance for purposes of responding to this question is contained in our standing order, more particularly Standing Order 51D, a motion of censure. Now, honorable senators, the Speaker of this House cannot file a motion. I can only moderate debate, facilitate debate, to make sure you do the right thing. If indeed, honorable senators, you are persuaded that the behavior of these CSs is unbecoming, invoke Standing Order 51D. As your Speaker, I'll be here to moderate that motion. In that motion, you may resolve any punishment. You can pass a resolution that these CSs be fined to the extent of whatever amount of money this House will resolve. How I wish I have the powers to punish these CSs. I will do it today. So, honorable senators, please do not allow this House to be disobeyed. Kindly invoke Standing Order 51D, and as a Speaker, I'll be here to moderate that debate. But this behavior cannot be left unpunished. I hope in the coming days on my desk, I'll see a motion. I will not hesitate to approve that motion of censure. So, honorable senators, do the right thing. Thank you. Honorable Clerk, next order, please. Now, honorable senators, if you look at today's order paper,